I'm Ryan Alexander with Denison Yachting, and today I have the privilege of showing you around a boat that I am not really going to give much of an introduction other than to tell you that it is a CDM. Past handful of years, I've been lucky to film a bunch of walkthroughs on these boats as they've made their premieres here at the Cannes Yachting Festival, and I'm very excited to show you this one because it is, as you'll see, it's American. Coolest feature we're going to save towards the end, which is the cockpit. Full fishing cockpit back there, everything insulated, all sorts of storage, great spot to fish from. But when you consider that it's attached to the rest of this super yacht, that's where things get really interesting. So I'm excited to show you every space on board, starting right here with the Sundeck. What I really like about this space, you've got this hot tub and you can see through because of these glass panels. And when you're standing up here and you're looking in all directions, you appreciate the hard top, the shade, and especially the shade of these sails overhead here. Right over here on the port side, next to one of the built-in speakers, this is your shower post right here. So a little handle pops out of the top. You can have fresh water, rinse off, go straight from the hot tub over here to dinner, to lunch. This dinette is finished with a long teak table, complemented by these teak chairs right here that fold out. Opposite the dinette for 10, we have this wet bar right here. It's unique in that you can pass all the way underneath it. I guess your kids could pass underneath it. For you, it's that you can get nice and close, but it also makes for a great standing bar as well. In terms of what we find here at this outdoor galley, we've got a Lynx grill, plenty of refrigeration, an ice maker, a lot of that teak countertop space again here. And then all the way forward are these forward-facing bench seats. This is the spot to be if you want a little bit of wind in your face. Great view. From here, we're gonna head down this staircase over here on the starboard side, and we're gonna take a look at the bridge deck aft. From one view to another, I really like this space right here. You've got plenty of room for your tender aft. And as you see it laid out right now, there's a ton of seating up here. So maybe this is a little bit too much for you and you wanna make it a little bit more minimal. To give you some scale, you've got these 4 loungers across the aft here. And you see really great stainless work wrapping all around this deck, the deck above. Easy to see through, well built. And the davit itself, 2,000 kilogram lifting capacity, so it can lift it up from the waterline, no problem. And then we see a pair of cabinets forward underneath this hard top. It's got a nice matte finish to it, LED lighting, a camera that ties in with a CCTV system throughout the rest of the boat. Over here on the starboard side, right by the stairs, this is where you've got your ice maker. And opposite, there are a pair of cold drawers that pull out. From the bridge deck aft, you've got 2 options for heading forward, 3 really, but 2 of them are side decks, right? So on the port side and on the starboard side, outside of these windows, you can see you can head all the way forward to the bow. For now, we're gonna check out the master. So this is the Darwin model, right? Built by CDM, but this is a customized version with a cockpit on the stern. This space can also be customized. So say you wanted to build one of these, this could also be used as a sky lounge. It works really well as either. Continuing beyond all of your storage, your bed, you next end up in the ensuite. A lot of light in here from a window on the outboard side. Got a great shower in here. And then the introduction of the stonework in here gives you an idea of what you can expect throughout the rest of the boat. Exiting the master, I am now facing forward and heading towards the bow. As I step into this upper deck foyer, what I like in here, there's this woven texture here, backlit in the stairwell, lots of great finishing and natural light. To change moods and tones entirely, we're next gonna look at the Wheelhouse. And what Wheelhouse on any sport fish have you seen that looks like this, right? Built for a different purpose, obviously, but I love to see how this comes together as a hybrid, right? Sport fish, but you also have a very capable, very overbuilt helm. You've got 4 monitors that line the front here. You got your time zero system, so all of your chart plotting. The CCTV cameras I pointed out, like this one on the aft deck, they can all be spun around different directions to help you monitor the safety of your family, guests, and crew. And then just at waist height here, I like the placement of these. You really can lean back in this bolstered position. And not only can you see your surroundings, but everything's laid out really neatly for you right here. The last thing to point out here in the Wheelhouse is this seating area. L-shaped, you got a little coffee table, cocktail table, whatever, sitting back here. Can interact with the captain. The height of this, it's lowered down, so it's really shaded in here. It's almost cooler than the rest of the wheelhouse in this seat. Just beyond the seating area, this is where we've got all of our bilge alarms, let you know how the power is doing coming in and out of the boat. A little station for the captain. You have this monitor up here. This ties in with the rest of the ship's monitoring systems, and then your fire detection system panel, as well as one of 2 doors, port and starboard, that give us access to the bow. I remember the first time I saw the bow of this Darwin series raised up here and walking around the corner and just thinking, this is the best spot to sit in. So you're like totally exposed up here like you're on a sun pad. You still have the gunnels, it's a safe spot to be, and the aggressive raked windows aft are awesome. And then moving beyond this sun pad here, we've got a radial seating area, our ground tackle, a pair of Maxwell windlasses, and then I actually forgot this was up here. This is a Starlink, so I don't know. Elon! This Starlink right here, this is something you're gonna start to see more and more of. I actually asked about an hour ago if they had one and they were kind of jealous. Everybody wants one of these things. They're supposed to work really well. And I'm interested to see how that's gonna change the boating experience offshore. Wrapping up here on the bow, we're gonna head down. We still have a whole other deck. For now, we're gonna jump back to the stern and take a look at the cockpit. The next spot we're gonna take a look at is this fully custom cockpit. How cool is this, right? You're used to seeing Sportfish done in one way, but this is a totally different beast. You got everything that you need back here and then some, starting with the storage underneath my feet right here. You notice there are no clunky deck hatches or anything, really clean, but these are all insulated. You've got your fish boxes. This boat sets a really tough, seaworthy tone. And then you've got your rocket launcher. You can throw your fighting chair in here if you want. It swivels around left to right. You've got seating on the aft side, and underneath this diamond stitch seating right here, there's cold storage. So plenty of storage back here. You've got storage underneath the gunnels, and then over here aft, we've got a fully custom passerelle. I love this passerelle right here. Easy in and out, raises up and down, serves as a swim ladder dropping down into the water. And then over on the port side, there are 2 things you don't typically find on a Sportfish, right? The first one of them is this deck shower. This is, after all, a super yacht, so to have a super yacht finish, you need something like this. Just forward of the shower over here on the port side, we have this watertight door that gives us access not to the engine room, but to a massive lazarette that serves as the dive center on board the boat. It's gonna be a little bit noisy down here because we are at a boat show and the shore powers are running. Those shore power converters are over on the starboard side and are just one of the many things that make this space really unique. The other thing to love in here is the volume of storage. So you've got storage on the forward bulkhead, outboard on the starboard side, center line, right? This opens all the way up so you can throw anything you need in here, whether it's sea bobs, dive equipment, spears for spear fishing. All your rod storage is overhead, so in a way, having a lazarette like this does allow you to store a lot of the stuff that you're not going to be using all the time when you're not fishing. Outboard here on the port side, above this tank, we have our water maker. This is a redundant system, more than enough water for the boat, whether you're chartering the boat, taking it out for a month. Forward of this large dive center, we next step into the engine room. I always love coming into these engine rooms. This is a great engine room to learn what things are. If you don't know what equipment is found in an engine room, it's really clear to see how it's laid out in a boat like this. There are a pair of generators to port and starboard, more than enough to power the house when you're away from the dock. She's powered by a pair of Cat C18 Acert engines. When on the pins, she has a top speed of 13.5 knots and a cruise speed of around 10 knots. This gives her an autonomous range of 5,400 nautical miles at 10 knots. And then we have this deck hatch here. It opens up, it gives you access down into the belly of the boat. You look down inside, you see how clean, how neat this boat is. The cleanliness that you find in the bilge here below this hatch is just a fraction of what the interior has to offer, right? Brand new boat, tons to see. So that's what I'm gonna show you next. So we're gonna jump back up to the main deck and make our way into the Salon. Year after year, the interiors onboard CDMs just continue to impress. And that is because they hire the best. And there are all sorts of personal, creative, custom touches throughout the boat, and we see a lot of them starting here in the Salon, especially when we look and face aft where we see the bar. Of course, what Sportfish would be complete without 4 of your very own oversized cold drawers. You got plenty of countertop space here. There's an ice maker over here on the starboard side and a lot of storage for cutlery, cups, things like that. And this doubles as a great buffet for laying out food or just setting down your keys when you're walking on board. Obviously, there's a lot of seating in this space, so you're gonna need a big TV. The TV is found over here on the starboard side. And then we have an open passageway, which brings us into the formal dining. This is definitely more of your luxury yacht feel. This is what you expect. So a really elegant, oversized table that's complemented by a bar just forward. Stepping inside the galley itself, everything in here is based around a stone-topped island. I like this light overhead in here. This really does feel like a family-style kitchen. In terms of appliances that we have in here, we've got a Wolf oven with a microwave convection oven directly above it. There are two side-by-side floor-to-ceiling refrigerator freezers. And then looking outboard here, we've got our cooktop, a lot of storage below, as well as our sink, and best of all, these two windows. Now, here back in the main deck foyer, we're gonna take these stairs down and look at the guest accommodations found on board. Here in the lower guest companionway, we have access to 5 guest cabins. 2 are aft, 1 port, 1 starboard, and then all the way forward in the bow is the VIP. This is the second time that I am filming this for this room because the first time I walked in, I called it the master. Granted, I've been on a lot of boats, so I don't know if I'm getting a little crazy or if this really does feel as convincing as a master does. But this is indeed the VIP. I really like the finishes in here. There's a lot of storage. I always forget when I come on board this Darwin model that they've got this extra storage area forward here. It really expands the overall footprint of the room. This storage theme continues over on the port side where we have a desk below 3 hull-side windows. This is the perfect spot for you to write that memoir that you've been talking about writing. And then, of course, you've got your TV and your ensuite on the opposite side over here to starboard. Here in the ensuite, you have pocket doors that can close this area off. I personally like having the whole space open, but being able to close it off, obviously you need that. There's a stall forward with your shower, and then aft is the stall that contains the head, and then you've got a sink basin, the same stone that we saw in the upstairs master. Exiting the master, we head aft to check out these other guest accommodations. We're next gonna look at the ones that are to port and to starboard. These have twin berths, a pair of hull-side windows, storage just forward of those windows, as well as a private ensuite. These cabins are remarkably quiet, and I like the layout of the berths. You've got a passageway on the inboard side. It's also worth noting that these can be pushed together to form 1 berth. Directly across the hall, we have twin layout number 2 on the starboard side. The big difference between this cabin and the last is that there's a Pullman berth on the inboard bulkhead here, allowing this room to sleep 3. I'm bummed to be saying this, but these are the last 2 cabins that we're going to be showing you. These are the aftmost cabins here. Something a little bit different in here that I like is what they did with the outlets. So you've got your USB plugs here, you've got European and standard US outlets here. Small things like that might not seem like a big deal, but you combine that with the switches that they use to turn on and off the lights on board the boat, and you have a really sleek look through and through. This is a great combination of what you would consider a brand new, out of the shipyard boat with a little bit of a classic feel mixed in there. Thank you so much for joining me on board this CDM that goes by the name of UPTIGHT. I really like this boat. I know you're not surprised to hear me say that. I'm a big fan of boats, and I am very grateful that I get to come to this show every year with some of Denison's brokers. I get to follow them around, film them, do some walkthroughs, and every once in a while they throw me a bone and let me do one. So Alex, thanks for letting me shoot this boat. If you like what you've seen, you can reach out to Alex Clarke. He is one of the top brokers over at Denison and a good friend of mine. He'd love to get you on board a boat like this or build one from the water up. Who wouldn't, right? So feel free to leave us a comment down below, to reach out to Alex directly, and until next time, thanks for joining us.